Welcome back. Joining me now is JDU MP and spokesperson Pavan Verma, BJP National spokesperson Sambit Patra, one of India's foremost sociologists Shiv Vishwanathan, a member of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board Kamal Farooqi, and Dalit author and academic Kancha Ilaya. Pavan Verma, yesterday at a rally in Buxar, Mr. Modi said, and I'm quoting him, "What do Lalu and Nitish want to do with the OBC and EBC? They want to snatch 5% reservations, 5% from the Dalits, 5% from the Mahadalits, 5% from the OBC and 5% from the EBC. They are conspiring to give it to a religious community." Today in Betia, the Prime Minister repeated that charge, but this time he used the word stealing. He says, "You're stealing these reservations." Is your party guilty as the Prime Minister has charged?
Certainly not, Karan. I mean, it's one of those fantastically cynical confabulations that are not unusual of the Prime Minister, to come up suddenly on a public rally and make an allegation of this nature. Nitish Kumar had held a press conference yesterday where he clarified and reiterated that he is completely beholden to the constitutional position in this matter, which does not allow for reservation of minorities, and so long as that position holds, that is what we have subscribed to. My own assessment is that the Prime Minister found himself and his party on the back foot because of the comment made by Mr. Mohan Bhagwat, which Mr. Mohan Bhagwat has reiterated more than once. And now, since the first two phases of the elections show the BJP definitely far behind the Mahagathbandhan, he came up with a ploy, but it was so transparently cynical and expedient and inaccurate and unethical and untrue that one does not know how to respond.
Sambit Patra, first of all, let me ask you, on what basis has the Prime Minister made this claim? What proof does he have that Lalu Yadav and Nitish Kumar want to reduce OBC and EBC quotas by 5%? Actually, today he even used the word steal by 5% to give to an unnamed religious community. What proof does he have of this?
No, he has spoken from the leaves of the pages of history. They have a very influential friend. I mean, Nitish and Laluji have very influential friend from the Congress. They're contesting 41 seats, an important ally partner. And if you would remember, Congress was the one which tabled the Ranganath Commission report, which spoke of 10%. Leave aside 5%, it spoke of 10%
But Mr. Modi didn't name Congress. He named Lalu and Nitish. You're bringing Congress in to answer my question. He didn't mention Congress at all.
Can I? Okay, let me answer. Number one, I began answering by saying that they were an ally. And definitely it's a very important ally in which all these three partners are contesting together. Naturally, they have come to a common understanding and a common principle. And the common principle was laid by the Ranganath Commission, which was tabled by none other than Salman Khurshid way back in 2009.
This is your inference at best. No, but the Prime Minister named Lalu and Nitish, not Congress. He didn't give this explanation as you're doing by inference of the Ranganath Commission.
You should give me the same amount of uninterrupted time that you allow the JDU spokesperson to speak. And after I complete my few sentences, you can please ask me a second question. We have seen the Congress party, which is an important ally in Bihar also, lending the 4.5% reservation in Andhra Pradesh in 2004, Maharashtra as recently as about 1 year ago. So let me not say as to how the Congress has been working the last years. Let the Congress party deny that. Let their allies, Nitishji and Laluji, deny that they would not give reservation to the Muslims. Mr. Pavan Verma is along with me. Let him deny it outrightly over here.
Shiv Vishwanathan, you heard that answer. The Prime Minister pointedly and specifically and only spoke of Lalu and Nitish. The answer comes in terms not of Lalu and Nitish at all, but Congress. Yet the Prime Minister never named Congress. But let's move beyond the factual basis of the Prime Minister's claim. There's also here, and this is what I want to put to you, a clear attempt to pit communities against each other. One could even say that the Prime Minister is creating discord and division between the OBCs, EBCs, Dalits and Mahadalits on the one hand, and this unnamed religious community, which incidentally is quite clearly the Muslim community, though he doesn't name it. Is he guilty of pitting community against community?
I think the crime is at several levels. and I'm deliberately using the word crying. One, as an electoral gimmick, it creates political discord, which can be a tremendous source of violence. Second, I think in a deep and fundamental way, he's upsetting the fabric of democracy. It's not a temporary game. This is damage to the very future of our sense of constitutions and democracy. Third, I'm surprised the Prime Minister is behaving this way, because by giving this kind of paranoid data, he's reducing himself to a low-level candidate. Even as a candidate, he's still Prime Minister. He owes a certain responsibility to the country. So at 3 levels, I'm afraid something is deeply wrong.
Kamal Farooqi, how do you as a Muslim view the attempt to portray an unnamed religious community, which incidentally is quite clearly the Muslim community, though the Prime Minister hasn't named it, as a community that seeks to benefit at the cost of reducing or even stealing OBC, Dalit and Mahadalit quotas? How do you view the Muslims portrayed in that light?
I'm not going to take it up as the religious or any other kind of thing, but my only concern is the way Prime Minister has gone to such a low level. In fact, he as a Prime Minister today, it's a very sad day for the entire nation, because he has pitched the minorities against the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. I would not like to get into this trap, because this is what actually he's trying to do to get the political gain out of it. And this is the most unfortunate thing. But I do not find any word, in fact, the kind of language which he's using. It looks like now that our earlier fear that people who are using the kind of language, they are trying to create the hatred. It is no, Prime Minister is not aware of it, or Prime Minister does not. Now it is confirmed, Mother, that there is a policy. Now when they feel like that, I do not know what has happened in the first 2 phases, but the general public says that they have not done well. So you can go to such an extent to win the elections.
Okay.
This is something really obnoxious. I do not find the words for a Prime Minister. I have never heard any other Prime Minister to go to such a. We have so much respect for Vajpayee ji, but I do not know what is going to happen to the country if the Prime Minister Modi continues to talk like this.
Kanchalaya, the Prime Minister added, and once again I'm quoting him, "I won't let such a plot succeed, even if it involves sacrificing my life." As a sociologist, as someone who understands the Dalit and Mahadalit community, is there a danger the Prime Minister could end up creating serious discord between OBCs, Dalits and Mahadalits on the one hand, and Muslims on the other? Could that be one impact of this statement by the PM?
No, Karan, the whole thing has to be seen what happened in Bihar. Because of Mohan Bhagavat's statement, the entire campaign of Mahadalit was that Mohan Bhagavat is against the reservation for SC/ST OBCs. That has gone at the deeper level. Now Narendra Modi wants to somehow clarify, no, we are against the Muslim reservation. And remember, in 2012, when Congress talked about 4.5% reservation, Narendra Modi formed an organization to oppose this in Gujarat and said in every village you must form committees to oppose this, because today they will ask in jobs and education, tomorrow in municipal elections, panchayats and parliament, so the country will be broken. But the point is, even if they said that there should be a reservation for Muslims, how can they say that constitutionally this will be wrong?
Can I stop you? Let's not go into the constitutional rightness or wrongness. That's a slightly different issue. Answer my question. Is there a danger that after making this statement, which pits communities against each other, the PM could have created serious discord between Dalits and Mahadalits and OBCs on the one hand and Muslims on the other? Answer that.
No, the danger is very clear. The danger is that we don't want Muslim votes at all in Bihar, and we don't want the SC/ST OBCs to go away from us. So, what does this mean? This means that today it might be a talk of oaths, but tomorrow it might result in huge conflict among them.
Okay.
I think that's absolutely unbecoming of a Prime Minister to make such a comment, that too in a electoral heat.
Okay.
That heat can lead to anything.
Absolutely. Pavan Verma, many people believe, and you've heard Kancha Ilaiah make that point, you've heard in fact Shiv Vishwanathan make the point, that what the Prime Minister is doing is either deliberately, and it's hard to believe he's doing it unintentionally, pitting communities against each other. But there's an additional thing. In a rather subtle way, he's also portraying Muslims as a threat to OBCs, Dalits and Mahadalits. Now, do you propose to take this up with the Election Commission or the President? Or are you simply going to treat this somewhat worrying, disturbing comment as one of those unfortunate things that people say at election rallies? Which will be your response?
No, Karan, let me answer frankly. First of all, it's a very clear attempt by the Prime Minister for short-term electoral gain to try and use the communal card. It's very unfortunate that this is being attempted. We went through Diwali, we went through Muharram. The people of Bihar kept to the line of communal
But what do you, in the
Although we
JDU,
know on the
propose to
ground-
do? What do you propose to do? Will you take it up with the Election Commission? Will you take it up with the President?
I'll tell you, sir. I'll tell you. If it acquires a resonance where we need to take it up with the Election Commission, we will. But Nitish Kumar has completely rejected the completely conjured up allegation. I mean, we don't know whether to laugh, to be amused, to be angry, or to be astounded.
Can I ask you
The
something?
Prime Minister
You said if it
comes and says
develops,
this, and I want to say this to you.
develops a resonance, you will take it up. What do you mean by if it develops a resonance? The
let
Prime
me
Minister's
explain
already
that.
said it twice, and today he accused you of stealing. He upped the accusation.
No, actually, we will certainly see whether this needs to go to the Election Commission, but one of our problems is that by the time the Election Commission responds, it's too late. But our far more potent weapon is to go to the people. The people of Bihar are not fooled. Why is the Prime Minister saying he'll give his life to save the reservations of the OBCs, the Dalits and the Mahadalits and the Ati Pichhad? All he has to do is to say Mr. Mohan Bhagwat was wrong.
Okay, that's a good point.
Let him criticize Mr. Mohan Bhagwat.
Sambit
But
Patra.
that he won't do.
Sambit
So
Patra.
it's a duplicitous game being played in full public view, and nobody is being fooled.
Sambit
These are
Patra,
all the people of
let
Bihar.
me go to
But
Sambit Patra
it is
now.
a condemnable game anyway.
Sambit Patra, the Prime Minister's oath of office says, and I'm quoting it, I will do right to all manner of people in accordance with the Constitution and the law. That is a solemn promise the Prime Minister took on the 26th of May last year. Many people feel that with the speech in Buxar and the speech he repeated today in Betia, he's in serious danger of breaching that oath of office.
Not at all. First and foremost, that's what he is doing. The oath that he had taken, he is upholding the oath because he is upholding the constitution of the country, which does not allow reservation on the basis of religion. Affirmative action of the government is reserved for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and OBC, and not on the basis of religion. That's what the para 3 of the Presidential Order of 1950 speaks, and that's what is the Constitution of India. And secondly, I am amused to see the pain that my opponents are going through over here, where most of my worthy friends, when Lalu Prasad Yadav was saying, "Ye to ladai hai, forward or backward ka sadak pe ladai hai," then they did not see anything appalling in that. And today, when the Prime Minister is stating the constitution of the country, most of them stand appalled. This selectivism is what people of Bihar are waiting to reply back, Mr. Pavan Verma. And Mr.
Can I ask you a
Kancha, you were
question?
speaking of
Can
the
I ask you a
decision
question? Your answer
Yes.
sort of suggests that the
Yes.
Prime Minister's explanation or justification for this very disturbing comment, which seeks to pit Muslims against OBCs, Dalits and Mahadalits, that his explanation and justification comes from Lalu's claim that it's going to be a caste war. Is the Prime Minister now seeking comfort and following the precedent of Lalu Yadav?
Not at all. I gave you the justification, Congress being one of the major allies in this. Congress has a history of talking of reservation, and in fact history suggests number of places where Congress has been in power.
The Prime Minister had named Congress.
What did the Ranganath Commission?
On every occasion he's made this point, both yesterday and today.
Now, listen to my answer on this.
Name Congress.
Karan, I'm going to answer you specifically. Yes, my specific answer is RSS chief did not name Mr. Narendra Modi. Nowhere the RSS chief spoke about the current reservation policy. But all of you made an issue out of a non-issue. Though the RSS chief did not mention about the current reservation policy, all of you are questioning us. Despite the fact that BJP had a press conference, you are all questioning us as if we were going to smash the reservation.
There is
Today
one
we are
issue that
asking Pawan Verma, let him answer.
one issue that we're talking about. Let's stick to that issue because I think it's important to keep focus. Shiv Vishwanathan, other than Rajiv Gandhi's election campaign of '84, when to be honest, he actually fought a campaign vilifying the Sikhs with slogans like, do you want the border to move to your doorstep? Are you scared of the taxi driver at night? But other than that, and other than some of the comments he made about the Sikh community, I don't recall any Prime Minister speaking of a religious minority as if it's a threat to some other community. Is this a new low in Indian politics, or is that an over-interpretation?
I don't think there's an over-interpretation. I mean, Sambit seems to think it's a choice of electoral cynicisms, Lalu's or the Prime Minister. But I think we're talking of the Prime Minister. And as a Prime Minister, he has to go beyond the current elections. He can't talk about temporary moves and gestures. There's a question of consequences.
So there's a moral responsibility on his shoulder because of the post he holds.
Second, there's a political responsibility for his trusteeship of democracy. So I was just saying that as long as you play the game of quotas, any kind of manipulation, any kind of cynicism, any kind of fiction is justified.
So are you also then saying that as a result of this comment, he's guilty of letting down both the moral responsibility and the political responsibility?
Absolutely. I think in a way he's threatening the office of the PM as an act of trusteeship, both ethical and political.
What about the question I put to Sambit Patra? And I'm going to once again quote that sentence from the Prime Minister's oath of office. I will do right unto all manner of people in accordance with the Constitution and the law. Has this statement by him, which he's made twice, somehow breached that oath of office, or is that over-interpretation?
I don't think so. Unless you're saying that in elections anything is justified. If you're going to follow that kind of cynicism, I think something's wrong. This is not a question of being judged by other parties. I think he's threatening the very notion of citizenship and justice.
And that's the key and core of our democracy.
That's the key.
Kamal Farooqi, I asked Pawan Verma a moment ago how his party, the JDU, would respond to what the Prime Minister said, and Pawan said in slightly measured tones that they will see how it plays out, what resonance it has, and then they might consider going to the Election Commission, although he added that by the time they go to the Election Commission and the Election Commission adjudicates, the elections could be over. How do Indian Muslims, who in a sense are the target of what the Prime Minister is saying, although he hasn't named them, how do Indian Muslims respond, and how do they plan to take this issue further? Or are you going to leave it?
No, Karan, I would like to leave it to the to conscience of the nation, and because to me, in fact, Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi, he has done something great harm to the to the political, constitutional, and his duties, in fact, which as a Prime Minister, he is supposed to safeguard me, in fact. Now he is not safeguarding me or the minority. He has not used Muslims. Rather, he is trying to have the Muslims and Christians and other minorities put together, in fact. And I do not know what law Mr. Sampath is talking about. Constitution does not create any distinction between any minority, in fact. But what Congress had done, the blunder, in fact, that through the presidential order, they had excluded non-Hindus from the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. That was not the intention of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. That was not the intention of the Constitution.
Let's not dilute this discussion by going into those side avenues. Come back to the key point. Why do you think? Answer this for me. No, I'm not going into the basis of reservation, so that's a different issue. Why do you think that it's in the best interest of the Muslim community to leave this and not follow it up? Explain that, because people would be interested in that answer.
No, in fact, any Muslim leader, if he speaks about it, I'm pretty sure that we'll be falling into the trap of Mr. Modi and the RSS people, in fact, because this is what actually they want, that there has to be a conflict between the minorities, Muslims and Christians, and the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe or OBC. I would not like to fall into that. I would rather call the nation, in fact, that they have to respond properly, and the constitution, in fact, the constitutional authorities must take an action, because this is a crime which Mr. Modi has committed.
That is perhaps a very wise. That is perhaps a very wise response. Although I don't want to editorialize and sound judgmental. Kanchalaya, you were, how shall I put it, bold enough to say that you're worried that this sort of comment by the Prime Minister could, and I emphasize the word could, not will or may, but could lead to discord between communities. What is your fear here? What sort of discord are we talking about?
No, see, the worry is, Karan, that if the Prime Minister of the nation even misinterprets the idea of certain parties and governments. See, for example, yesterday he also said that the Supreme Court has put a cap up to 50%, and these people want to steal from that 50% itself. That is not true. Nobody is saying that. If the Muslims or others are given a reservation, it will be over and above that 50%, as it happened in Tamil Nadu. And why this misinterpretation? Actually, this kind of misinterpretation by Prime Minister himself really worries one, because here are the minorities who think that, what do we have in this nation? Where do we go? Today the Patels are saying, if you don't give us reservation, we will convert. Remember that. We will convert, they said that. And here are minorities, you are saying we will not give something, whatever they are seeking, in whatever manner it is possible. And then you are putting the SC, ST, OBCs completely opposite to minorities. This is bizarre and this is dangerous, no?
This is bizarre and this is dangerous and this is more. Let's take a break at that point. When I come back, I want to ask, is this also the voice of BJP desperation? Is that the explanation why a Prime Minister has made perhaps this mistake not once but twice of saying things that perhaps coolly, rationally, he regrets having said? We'll come back and address that second critical issue in a moment's time. Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. Pavan Verma, before I come to the question whether this is the voice of desperation speaking through Narendra Modi, let me point out that Mr. Modi has a much stronger case when he criticizes Nitish Kumar's promise to create 35% reservation for women in government jobs. Mr. Modi has correctly pointed out that your party, the JDU, voted against women's reservations in Parliament, and although Nitish Kumar now claims you've changed your view, the truth is you've done it A, quietly, and for some you've done it possibly surreptitiously.
No, actually, Karan, I'll clarify both points. First of all, regards the reservation on women, there were many parties that felt that while reservation is all right, within the number of reserved seats, you should take into account the issue of social justice. Who do you give them to? Just like you've done in the constitution for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and OBCs. The matter has remained pending, but I want to say, if there is one state which has moved ahead of every other state in India in terms of providing women reservation, it's Bihar. 50% in panchayats and 35% in all government jobs. And Mr. Nitish Kumar clarified yesterday in his press conference that if the bill is taken up, we will support it, but we have this factor in mind.
Okay.
As regards the second point, and I'll take 20 seconds only, the real tragedy, Karan, is that this blatantly unethical act of cynical invention with regard to the quotas has been done by no person no less than the Prime Minister himself. Is he a complete prisoner of short-term political gain? Will he go on a public forum and lie in order to ensure that he gets voters, even when he knows that it can be communally divisive? which is something which is bad for the country in the long run? This is the question.
Sambit Patra,
How conjuring it out of thin air.
Okay, Sambit Patra, in an interview to Sheila Bhatt in the Indian Express today, Amit Shah says, and I'm quoting him, the BJP will be able to pick up issues of OBC and EBC much better because our PM belongs to that class. But so does Lalu Yadav and so does Nitish Kumar. And in addition, they are Bihari and not Bahari. So what sort of self-contradictory logic is that?
No, first and foremost, both Mr. Nitish Kumar as well as Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav, they may belong to the OBC fold, but both of them have got a chance to, in fact, govern Bihar, and then they have failed to understand the sentiments of the backwards and the extremely backward community in Bihar. And that's the reason as to why, without any arrogance in the air, I can today vouch and say categorically that Bharatiya Janata Party will form the government next, and we will have a Bihari as a chief minister, but a BJP
That's not the
Bihari,
question I asked you.
who would understand.
That's not the question I asked you.
No, I'm telling you.
I know you're telling me, but
Yes,
you're not
you
answering
are
my
asking
question.
Bihari or Bahari. No, just a second, Karan. There are three people pitted against one. Please allow proportionate time. Number one, this constant phrase, Bihari versus Bahari, I would say, remember, a Bihari chief minister, but a Bhajpa Bihari chief minister is what BJP is going to have. It's but natural that Biharis are contesting in every seat. Naturally, we would not have a Bahari chief minister in Bihar.
You have every right to answer my question as you want, but I will point out for the sake of the audience that you haven't answered the question I asked at all. Shri Vishwanathan, when you hear Mr. Modi's Buxar claim, pitting Muslims against OBCs, Dalits and Mahadalits, or when you hear Amit Shah's claim that BJP understands the OBCs better than anyone else, do you get the feeling that these are voices of desperation because the BJP feels it's losing ground? Or once again, is that an overinterpretation?
See, given Amit Shah's skill, I'm a bit disappointed. But given the nature of politics today, I feel this is not just an act of desperation, but something more important. It's populism turned paranoid. And the attempt to play paranoid politics in Bihar is dangerous. Desperation is an act of intention. The creation of paranoid politics is a consequence. And it is this consequence that we have to look at. This is not a question of giving certificates to parties.
But then you're suggesting, although you're not saying it so openly, that the consequence of the desperation that's driving Mr. Modi to make these comments could possibly be fracturing of the social harmony of the state.
Yes, and that's precisely what I'm saying. Let me put it openly. Forget temporary impacts. This is not just an election game. This is the game of democracy, which all of us value. I think he's destroying the rule game called democracy.
You're really going so far as to say that for the personal political gain of his party, Mr. Modi is putting at risk the harmony of the country?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, openly.
Kamal Farooqi, if this is really a neck-and-neck race in Bihar, as all the anecdotal evidence suggests, do you expect that the subtle but often invidious references to Muslims, A, will increase, and B, perhaps become worse in character?
Yeah, Karan, you are absolutely right. And that is what my fear is in it. That is what I said, that I don't want to get into that trap. Because this is what actually their intention is. And I'm pretty sure the overwhelming majority of the country will not fall prey to it. Of course, Sampath and RSS people and other people would be justifying it and would be very happy. But again, I'm coming back. For about 15 months, I was having a feeling that whatever the fringe elements are saying, in fact, Mr. Prime Minister is not of that sort that he's supporting them. But now, yesterday and today, the kind of remarks, I'm really scared that what is going to happen to my country. But if that is the situation, and by the way, who is after his life? Nobody is threatening his life at all. Why is trying to emotionalize the whole thing? Why he could use this kind of word? Are we fighting with Pakistan? Are we fighting with China? You are fighting, you are trying to create a wedge between the minorities, the second largest.
To be fair, the Prime Minister only said he'd sacrifice his life as a turn of phrase. It was a bit of rhetoric rather than an expression of any threat that he feels. Let's be fair to him. Kancha Alaya, Indian election campaigns are usually littered with caste, language, regional and other potentially divisive appeals. But this time, is there a danger that the attempt to pit community against community could damage the social fabric, as you've heard Shiv Vishwanathan say? Or do you believe, as has happened so often in the past, that when the result comes out, whatever the result will be, the state will somehow miraculously unite and the cracks will be repaired?
No, Karan, the problem is that whether BJP wins or Grand Alliance wins is not the issue. The issue is the Prime Minister of a nation at the general election in 2014. That's where we were all thinking that his agenda of development gave him whatever votes that he got. But today, when the state elections are taking place, if he takes this route, I am afraid what happened, long time back in Assam and also in Kashmir, when Indira Gandhi was in the prime ministerial position, the nation has witnessed very, very serious problems. Now, this is again
you're actually saying to me, and you're actually saying to me that sort of danger looms on the horizon for Bihar.
Yeah, it is much more, because this is Muslim versus Dalit Bahujan. Now, if this really rakes up now, see, the whole nation will burn, because the Bihar has been a very peaceful state after 1992 riots, so far as rioting is concerned. Now, if the Prime Minister talks this kind of language, I see a very, very major problem. I think he should not do this. Whatever happens in state elections, year afterwards.
I'm going to stop you, Kanchalaya, because I think in fairness I want to let Sambit Patra have the last word. Sambit Patra, the fear, it's expressed most forcefully by Kanchalaya and Shiv Vishwanathan, is that the Prime Minister, wittingly or intentionally, I don't know, could be unleashing demons, and that he could be creating dangers, fissures, cracks, disturbing the social harmony. Your response? You can have the last word tonight.
Karan, I would say that the people who used to rush to the Election Commission at a drop of a hat, if they feel that such is the resonance of the Prime Minister's speech, why don't they go to the Election Commission? Mr. Pawar Verma, in one of the questions of yours, pointed out that we will wait to see what the resonance of this question is going, what the resonance of this speech is going to be. If they have such kind of perceivable fear, what is stopping them from going and complain? I'll tell you what is the answer. The answer is, they very well know that they have been exposed and they have been hurt in the worst possible manner because they stand exposed today, and that's the reason as to why they are not complaining. They're crying.
All right, I gave you a chance to answer the claim that the Prime Minister's comment could lead to divisiveness and disharmony. You chose instead to be a politician and attack Pavan. No, Pavan, I won't come back to you, because the question he raised is one I asked you twice and you didn't answer it then. I'm not going to give you a chance now because we're out of time. Apologies. I'm afraid I have to bring this show to an end. We've run right out of time. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.